Welcome to Detroit Sports Plus. So much going on right now at what is supposed to be a slow time of the year.
No such thing in this
No
town.
such thing right now. It just does not stop. Thank you for joining us here on DSP alongside Derek, Ken, and then our special guest, Mr. James Jackson.
We must be talking Tigers today.
We are talking Tigers, but out of the gate, what are we talking about? The news coming down from Michigan. ESPN reporting today that Sherrone Moore will serve a 2-game self-imposed suspension. Self-imposed right there, so that means the university is handing it out. Going back to, how thoughtful.
How
and
noble.
then once we get into it, yeah, how noble. For going back to the Connor Stallions investigation. Your thoughts out of the gate? I mean, this has been talked about for so long, dating back to the beginning of last season.
Yeah. Well, there's only one reason that you ever self-impose a punishment on yourself, right? And that's because you're hoping that it's the only punishment that gets thrown on you. So, I don't know. We'll see what comes of that for Sherrone Moore. But the interesting part of it is that it's for the third and fourth games of the season, not the first 2 games. Michigan is saying it's because Sherrone Moore went to Oklahoma. That's where he played. So they probably don't want to suspend him for that game. But I would argue if I'm Michigan, I would rather lose the Oklahoma game than the Nebraska game if you have to choose one, because one is a Big Ten game and one isn't. So I don't know. We really
Why not just go out and win them both? How about that?
Yeah, we really don't know what the NCAA is thinking. So this could be the last we hear of it, or it could be ours.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
It's like a kid grounding themselves, and deciding what things that they love that they have access to and which things they don't. I think it's really interesting because it's starting to become sort of a Michigan tradition where one of the assistant coaches gets to coach a couple games every year. I think it's really nice for the career, for the culture, the growth of the program. Really good for those coaches to get that experience.
Yeah.
James, what do you think?
There's a lot of things going on in Ann Arbor right now. I mean, they're losing their president as well. He's moving on to Florida. So I'm just going to reserve any comment as to what's going on up there in Ann Arbor.
But also, I mean, this is self-imposed, and you just said it. This is kind of getting ahead of whatever could come from the NCAA. But Yahoo Sports was reporting earlier today that there is a committee on infractions hearing for Michigan set for early June. Do you think this is the last that we've heard of this, or could more even come from this? And what do you think it could be?
Well, is it the last we've heard of it in terms of suspensions? It's really hard to say. But, obviously there's going to be some sort of punishment handed down, whether it's going to be an empty punishment like, a slap on the wrist, or I don't think it's going to be wins vacated or anything like that. But we really don't know anything. Pretty much all of the details that we've heard have been speculation.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the self-imposed suspension tells you that at least U of M thinks something's coming down.
Yeah, you wouldn't self-impose a harsher penalty than you expect on yourself, right? Yeah. So, it's probably was either going to be some sort of a suspension or longer.
Well, I will say this. The NCAA has to come out and definitively declare whether or not Michigan knew what was going on with Stallion on the sidelines, especially for that CMU game. I would think that they would have to say, yes, the University of Michigan knew about it, or no, the individual was solely responsible for that.
Yeah.
And that's why we have investigations, and maybe we will have another layer to this in early June.
And I just want to say, luckily, we have an extremely competent and well-reasoned committee in the NCAA to come up with that for us.
Moving on to the Detroit Tigers right now. They were one of the most successful teams in baseball in April, and that has carried over into early May. They had the up-and-down series against Houston, but look at what they just did against the Angels. Just pure domination at the end of the first 2 games. Lost one, but then yesterday, 13-1?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of people are going to look at the Angels and say, well, it was just the Angels. They're a last-place team. But if you're a Tigers fan, you know the Tigers never beat the Angels in L.A. Never go out to Anaheim and win. I believe Benetti said that this was their first series win in Anaheim in 15 years. So, this just felt so good to finally beat the Angels.
It's almost validation to an extent.
And we are now at the magical Sparky Anderson 40-game mark, or at least 5 games away from that.
Yep.
where after supposedly 40 games, you have a real good idea of what your team is going to be. And right now, they're contenders. And I mean contenders for the American League pennant for sure, and as well as for the World Series.
Wow. James Jackson.
Ken is just like relishing in the aura right now.
Because, James is a big Tigers guy. I'm just saying. But if it comes down to the Lions or the Pistons, he would never predict a championship. But the Tigers have a hot month, and they're going to win the World Series. So I just want to know, like, why so confident?
Wait a minute. I didn't say win.
May.
I didn't say
said
win.
Okay.
I said contenders.
Contend, but what makes you so confident in May that they are a legit World Series contender and that this isn't just a hot start?
Well, just look at all the statistics. They're in the top 5 in pitching, I believe fielding, as well as hitting. And that's what baseball is all about, pitching and fielding in particular. So and you can't ignore that they've faced some tough quality teams so far over these 35 games.
Yeah.
They beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. They
Padres.
beat the Padres, the Royals,
They
the Twins in their
hung
division.
with the Dodgers.
Yep. Flew out for one of those games.
Yeah.
So it was your fault.
No, well, put it on me. I'll take it.
But they went back to LA and fixed everything.
So, Derek, are you feeling the same sort of confidence?
Yes, and I just want to say for the people, when James is this confident, it means something. Because, like, you have to earn it with James. But the thing about the Tigers is, like, they're confirming what we expected in terms of pitching. Like, we thought the starting rotation would be awesome. And so far, 1 through 4, Jackson Jobe's been a little shaky here and there, but what do you expect from a rookie, right? The starting rotation has been the best in baseball. And the offense has been much better than I think any of us expected. I mean, you look at the names on the roster, and it's not overly impressive, but the quality of at-bats, consistently quality at-bats, it's wearing teams down, and that's why you're seeing the Tigers score a lot in the later innings. Like, they're getting into bullpens, they're wearing pitchers down with high pitch counts very consistently. That's sort of been the trademark of, like, the really good Yankees teams, just tough at-bats. And even if you're putting up zeros, you're putting up, like, 20-pitch zeros with 2 guys on base, and the Tigers are doing that. And I think even though they don't have any great offensive players, I think they have offensive players who are equipped to maintain that.
A great offensive player. I mean, look at Riley Green. 2 home runs in the 9th inning the other day. I mean, I would say that's pretty great. Kerry Carpenter with 5 RBI yesterday. Trey Sweeney, 6 RBI. How surprising is this offensive outburst?
Well, don't forget.
Because everybody was talking about pitching, and they were like, we'll be top 5 in pitching, but maybe bottom 5 in hitting.
If they could just
to
get by,
see this.
that was kind of the thought, right? If they could just get by with hitting.
And throw some flowers.
Is this consistency?
It is right now, and I think it's all analytic driven. You got to give AJ Hinch and his staff kudos for the way they're applying analytics to the lineups they're putting out there. And let's throw some flowers to Javi Baez. Some people had him 10 feet buried. But
he's not looking right at me, but he's looking
No, Derek was right about he never wanted the Tigers to sign Baez to begin with because of the analytics involved. But it's been an amazing turnaround for him.
Sure has.
And, boy, he looks like he's been playing center field all his life.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cool out there. He's making over-the-shoulder catches. He's making catches over the fence, robbing potential home runs. He's batting, I think, 300.
Yep.
And I think I heard on one of the talk radio shows that he has the highest WAR of any Tiger right now.
1.5 already. Yep. It sure looks like playing center field has rejuvenated him, doesn't it? Like, because as James was saying, I even last week wrote a statistical, like an analytical breakdown of how Javi Baez was not hitting the ball hard. He was still striking out. Like, none of the offensive numbers really pointed to him continuing to hit well. And then, of course, he went out to LA and hit homers in 3 straight games. So that went over really well. But the only thing that stands out to me, if this is real, is that Javi Baez was asked to take on this new challenge, which was center field, because the Tigers really need it. And he is playing a legitimate elite center field, like awesome. And maybe that has just carried over into his offense. Maybe it's the spark he needed. So he's looked amazing, and he deserves a lot of credit.
And also for him, think about this. When you are one of the star players, or maybe not star player, but the highest paid player on the roster, and you're missing time, and then you know he hears the outside noise. I mean, think about it during that playoff run. People were saying, maybe this team is better without Javi Baez.
And
I heard multiple people say that.
Yep.
And then whenever, as a competitor, you want to prove people wrong, especially whenever you feel like you have some accountability in a way. I mean, whenever you are the highest paid guy on a roster, you want to step up wherever your number is called. He's doing it in center field. I remember talking to him in the clubhouse a couple weeks ago, and he said the last time he had played center field, it was whenever he was growing up. But he loved it out there because there were so many plays to be made. And to see him say that, but then also make those plays, it really is impressive to see. The question is, though, what do they do now? Because you're waiting for Parker Meadows to come back. You're waiting for Matt Vierling to come back. You see Javi playing so well at the plate and in center field. What do you do if you're A.J. Hinch? I mean, do you ride the hot hand, or do you go back to what you thought you would have going into the season on paper with a healthy roster?
I'm not counting on Meadows at all this year. These nerve injuries, you never know when they're going to heal. If he's back by the All-Star break, I'll be totally surprised. Right now, you just roll with the way the things are going. If there's a warning sign for the Tigers, for me, it's third base. They're going to have to do something about third base.
Yep.
So,
But that was the question in the offseason, too.
yes.
Yeah. I think obviously you can't bench Javi Baez if he's playing like this. Like, you just can't. So while I think a lot of us assumed as soon as Vierling came back he was going to be playing in center, it's possible that he does take over a larger role at third base because he's going to be back, I think, a lot sooner than Meadows. I mean, he's already in Toledo getting ready to do a rehab assignment. So, yeah, I mean, Zach McKinstry is a guy that you can't bench right now with how he's playing either. So, I think we all knew a couple of years ago that the Tigers' problem would be they have too many good players.
But to that, I mean, even Justin Henry Malloy had a good stretch, and people were saying, well, he's playing well. You can't bench him.
Yeah.
I mean, A.J. Hinch is going to have some tough things to manage.
What a hard life for A.J. Hinch.
I know.
Like, which good hitter should I put in?
Well, it's going to be stat sheet driven. Those analytics, he and Lombard and the other coaches, that's how they're going to continue to roll those players out there.
It's been working.
It's been working.
Yeah.
It's been working.
And they just had this series against the Angels. I tell you what, the most impressive part to me for the last week has been how they rebounded from that series against Houston, because they had a firm grasp on the game in games 1 and games 2 and let them both go away. But to see them respond in that series finale, in the first two games in Anaheim and then on Sunday, is just incredible to see how they bounce back from
I
that.
thought that Game 3 win in Houston was the biggest
It
win
almost
they've had
changed
this
everything.
season, because it was such a frustrating series because, like you said, they felt like they should have won those first two games and then they collapsed at the end. If you get swept, I don't know, it just feels so much worse to get swept, and then you go into Anaheim, a place where you haven't won very much, and it can snowball a little bit. But to get that third win in Game 3 in Houston felt really big,
And mark your calendar. In 2 weeks, the Guardians come to town. And I expect Comerica Park to be packed for that series, because despite how well the Tigers have been playing, they're just a game and a half ahead of the Guardians. So that's going to be a key.
Let us have some fun, Cleveland. Come on.
Cleveland is so annoying.
I know. Get out of here.
And do you think that, I mean, we were talking about the 40-game benchmark. Is that going to be another milestone to you? I mean, a milestone series?
Well, definitely. I mean, Jose Ramirez kills the Tigers. And they're just pesky.
Stephen Kwan.
Stephen Kwan is another one.
Jim Tomei.
And
20 years ago.
The way they lost to him in the playoffs last year, they had the Guardians. They should have won that series. So, I'm really looking forward to that.
This week, a quick question to kind of put a bow on this. They have the Rockies coming up to close out this road trip. The Rockies have 6 wins all year. 6 wins all year. Would it be disappointing if they don't sweep?
Yes. Yeah, it would. I'm just going to say it like it is.
With how good they're playing right now?
Yes.
2 out of 3, man. 2 out of 3. I'll settle for that.
It's hard. It's hard to sweep.
Yeah.
It is hard to sweep.
It is.
Yeah.
But against a team that is 6-28.
I get it.
People don't want to
Baseball.
say it, but 6 wins versus the best team in the AL. I want to sweep. Yeah, I do. I'm greedy.
Well, we appreciate James for joining us to talk some Tigers. We'll have you back on I'm sure in the next few weeks, because this team is one of, if not the hottest team in baseball right now. Appreciate your time, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
Still to come, Richard joins us to talk about the Pistons. A great season comes to a disappointing end in a series that came down to the wire time and time again. We'll dive into their season and look ahead at the offseason coming up next on DSP. Welcome back to DSP. We were all hoping that playoff basketball would last another week in the D, but it came up just short in Game 6. Richard, sorry.
Don't apologize to me. Yeah. I mean, like we talked about last week, win or lose, Detroit Pistons, they're no longer pushovers. Unfortunately, they lost all 3 games at home. But the point is, that New York had to work for everything. And I think we took Game 5, and we were shocked that they pulled that one out. But, just got to credit that team. But Game 6, I think this series as a whole is going to be known as missed opportunities. The Pistons had – I don't know if it was like the differential was like 4 points or less in between all the like couple of those games, and I just really feel like the Pistons are going to kick themselves. Like they could have really won this series.
If you can make a statement as a losing team in a first-round series, they did it.
Yeah,
That's a great way to put it.
If it's possible, they did it.
Yeah.
I think the message from them to the league is we're coming for me, and that was a tough series for New York to come out of. They're gonna go into Boston tired from that series.
Absolutely.
Hey, they were tired in the series that they were playing the other night in the Game 6.
Yeah, Game 5, you could tell the Knicks was a little gassed. I'm like, okay, maybe Detroit has a shot. Then Game 6 happened, and of course, what happened? Bad start. Another bad start
at home.
Yep.
And they had to fight back, and then even going into the fourth, it was like, I don't know if they can do it. But then they came back, took the lead. Then I think a lot of us had the questionable taking out of Sar at like the 3-minute mark from JB. And that was a little questionable. And then New York got back in the game, and then we saw what happened at the end.
Yep. 7-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go. Another one of those missed opportunities, or as JB has put it, a learning experience for this team, because a good chunk of the roster was in the postseason for the first time ever. That said, this team won 14 games all year last year. They weren't even talking play-in at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely
but to
not.
see them go in and play a competitive playoff series, what did that tell you about what this franchise has built to this point?
It's probably the biggest my mind has ever changed about a team in one season that I can remember in any sport. I mean, the Pistons weren't just in this series. Like 5 out of the 6 games, I felt like they were the better team, and they just didn't make a play down the stretch or, didn't hit a wide open shot at the end. It tells me that the Pistons are ahead of schedule, and I think Trajan Langdon is a guy that I have confidence in being able to speed up the process and make the moves necessary to take them to the next step.
I feel like the series is just a microcosm of the year, and then we can all trace it back to that road trip in December. They went 3 out of 4, including that monumental comeback against Sacramento. And then the team just built character. The biggest sucky thing about it is we didn't see Jay Ivey at all during this stretch. So I know we're going to get to it, but it's like, what did the Pistons do in the offseason? I mean, maybe the thing is you get Jay Ivey back healthy. I think, the team, they're in a spot where it's like, do you bring everybody back and run it back again, or do you go out and still try to make that next move? So Trajan and staff, they got a lot to work with here.
So much experience learned from it, though. I mean, like you said, like most of that team has not played in the playoffs, let alone significant minutes in the playoffs. And what a learning experience for Cade, for just Jalen Duren. I mean, all those guys are going to have so many takeaways from this series to go into next year.
Cade especially, averaged 25 points a game. A lot of people were saying on the team, we all expected him to be able to carry us, and here he was trying to carry the team to the second round of the playoffs, coming up just shy. But here is Cade after Game 6 on what he learned about himself this year.
Leading the team, I think that's the main thing. Helping my teammates succeed, that's the thing I get the most joy from. I think I did the best job I have since I've been in the NBA with that, as far as getting guys in the right position, getting them the ball in their spots on time, allowing them to do their thing. So it's only going to get better. I still got a lot of work to do this summer.
All right, working ahead to next year already. But look at Cade this season, guys. 26 points a game, averaged 9+ assists a game. So many triple-doubles, it seemed like every 2 weeks he was getting one. Where do you think the next step is in his progression?
I think it's more of just continuing that progression. I mean, one of the things I had a problem with through most of the year was he was not getting no foul calls. Like, he was going to the rack and he was not getting any calls. Playoff time, that whistle was blowing.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, as he continues to his game evolves, he's going to get more respect from the refs, and then he's going to take that next step to superstardom. I really want to see him get that the three-pointer real good, but also the turnovers. He's got to cut those turnovers down. And I think by having Ivy back would help that. But also and we'll preview again, if they can keep Schroeder. You know what I mean? I think that's really going to be the key, not have him have the ball so much. He can kind of be able, he gives it an attack.
I feel like Cade in the playoffs was tense at times. He had a good series, not a great series, but a good series. But his decision making was a little up and down. He was passing the ball a lot to players in bad positions, or passing it to like the fifth option on offense, and a lot of times that turned into a turnover.
Yeah,
like
low shot
a lot of times.
Situations.
So I'd like to see, I'm sure he learned a lot from that series, but that was kind of a problem all year too. It wasn't just in the playoffs. So I'd like to see him continue to get better with that decision making, better with passing, and then I want to see him really come alive in clutch time. And he had a lot of great clutch moments this season, but he had also a lot of not great clutch moments.
Got to knock those shots down. He's got to knock those shots down.
He's got to knock those shots down. He's got to figure out how to get that foul call. There's been a lot of moments in that last 3-4 minutes of the game where he's trying to take over the game, but they just kind of somebody sticks a hand in and there's a turnover and there's the game, like that sort of thing. Like, figure out how to really figure out how to take over the game and put the team on your back.
Now, he did show it in the regular season. You could think about the Miami game when he hit the game winner, the Atlanta game when he got the shot and the block. I mean, so he's done it in the regular season. Now, the playoffs is where you make your name. So now next time they get in the playoffs, he's got to knock one of them shots down.
Yeah.
It's the finishing for me. I mean, we saw a lot of ridiculous overreactions on Twitter after Game 6 ended about Cade not being a finisher. He's a Robin and he needs a Batman. I think that's outrageous, but I do think it's fair to say he didn't finish well in this series, and that was one of the reasons the Pistons lost those close games. And sometimes I think you need to fail to learn those lessons, and it's Cade's first playoff series. It's not just that it was his first playoff series. He hasn't even been played for a team that's reasonable in his NBA career. So this was much more intense than any moment he's ever faced. And now he has that under his belt, and I expect him to come back next year with more motivation and hunger to get back. And
we'll see what this team does in the offseason, but they do have some free agents who are up right now. Those are Tim Hardaway Jr., who they traded for last year, Malik Beasley, who set the franchise record in made three-pointers, Dennis Schroeder, who is the trade deadline acquisition that really did help out Cade, stepping in whenever they needed somebody to run point, and then Paul Reed, who played some big minutes in the postseason whenever Isaiah Stewart got hurt. Of those four right there, who is the most important to keep around for next season and potentially beyond?
I think they're all solid options. I'm going to go with Beasley because I think Beasley has been instrumental in building that culture that has been so important this year with the veterans and the young guys just coming together and building this identity. And then the shooting part of that. I mean, one of the biggest issues coming into the season before they made all those signings was can we get some shooters? We did not expect Beasley to be this productive, and who knows if he'll be that productive next year. But having that weapon off the bench that can conceivably come in and hit 6-7 3-pointers. I mean, that's game changer stuff. So I'd pick Beasley over anyone else.
I'm going to go Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder's acquisition at the trade deadline, when we got him, I was like, okay, we good. I think we're going to be all right. And as you saw, Dennis has the ability to not only create his own shot, he gets others involved. And look at this playoff series. He was basically our second option when it came down the stretch. He won a critical game, too, in the last minute with that three-point shot. But, he's feisty and he's a veteran. He's been around. But, I think having that type of leadership on the floor when it matters helps.
Yeah, I think those two guys are 1A and 1B. I mean, they fit this organization like a glove. But if I can only choose one, I'm going Beasley. I don't think it's any surprise that I'm going with the shooter. But also just, if Jaden Ivey can pick up from one of the two a little bit more, I think that it's Schroeder. What Malik Beasley brings is so valuable, and I think that would be a huge hole for the Pistons to fill if they didn't bring him back.
I mean, the franchise mark for threes. I mean, he did that in what, February?
Yeah.
I like that. That just shows you how valuable he was with those big points in the middle of games.
Yeah.
We'll see though. Maybe Trajan can bring 2 guys back, maybe 3.
I think it's possible, right?
I think it is.
Or they can get someone else.
Or they improve.
Hey, they improve. You know what I'm saying? But
He has to decide: are we going to run it back, or are we going to?
Or are we going to try to like,
yeah?
That's it. And that's the big decision that they have to make in the offseason. We are all out of time here on DSP. A special thank you to Derek, Richard, Ken, and James, who joined us to talk Tigers. We'll see y'all next time.